What do you see as the single biggest killer in relationships? Like, what is the thing that over the 30 plus year career that you've had, what has been the biggest relationship breakdown that is consistently coming to the top?
Well, actually, two things come to mind. So I'll start with the first one. And the first one is this idea that we think that we're a consumer in the relationship, that we think we're supposed to get something, and sort of that, what are you doing for me lately mentality, and not working on looking within to see where is it that I am not growing myself or fulfilled in myself. And and I think the not taking responsibility, which is pillar one. The first pillar is we're each responsible for our own happiness and well-being. And I think that one is, we might hear little bits of that kind of wisdom, but we don't really appreciate to the extent of personal accountability we need to have in order to create what we're looking for. And then the second thing I think is really lack of appreciation. And it's just human nature that we take for granted what we have. And so I think that it's really like getting to know how the partner feels appreciated most and feel cherished. And I mean, really, and as you asked for one thing, but it's always hard for me to say
No,
one
it's
thing.
okay. You don't have to give me one thing. This is the
Really, my
conversation anyway.
personality is, and that's why I had 4 pillars, because it just, and there's also just the lack of insight and growth. Some people, really struggle with having insight, or they just can't see it. They just only see that they're a victim to something, or that it's something happening to them. And there's always that part of the thinking system that can happen to the most insightful people, where you only can see when you're like emotionally reactive and dysregulated. We only see what it is that our partner is doing that's not right. And that's probably true that they are doing something not right. But still the key is the accountability we have and the opportunity that presents for growth. And so we really need support and help to do the opposite of what we feel like doing, and really start introspecting first. What is this reminding me of that I know is my growth area to begin with? What work can I do on myself that maybe I'm doing something similar that is being mirrored to me through their behavior or their lack of behavior? So I think, a lack of growth mentality, and really trusting the process that whatever challenge is happening, it's for the good, it's for the benefit, to really embrace it so that you can grow.
Yeah, because once you come through on the other end, that's when the growth really does happen. I mean, the biggest challenge is, I feel so blessed because in our marriage, when we've had the biggest challenges, we've definitely come through the other side, and there's been a growth that happens where you build upon it. So it's not something that you're forgetting, but we also don't go back to it either, and what I mean by that is sometimes it has nothing to do with us. Sometimes it's just acknowledging and being self-aware that, let's take empty nesting, for example. It is weird and different when all of a sudden there's no energy in the house. You go from heavy energy with teenage boys and tons of energy happening and games every day, to hearing your silverware hit the plate. Like, that is like the one thing. I sat at the dinner table one night and I heard us, like, we were like clink, clink, clink. And then Adrian gets up immediately and starts like cleaning up the kitchen. I'm like, hey, why don't we sit down for a few minutes, And we're having this conversation, but it's just all new. We're like setting all new standards. But as we get through those things, it really has nothing. It has some stuff to do with us, but it has to do with the change of environment and how the environment affects us. Even work. Some people go through work schedules, right? And their work changes, and all of a sudden they're not home as much. How does that impact their partner? And are they aware of how it's impacting their partner, right? Not just how it impacts them, but how it impacts their partner.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your fourth pillar? So we've heard the 3. You may have said it already, but what is your fourth pillar, the last pillar?
Yeah. So the first is responsibility for our own happiness and well-being. Second is growth. We're here to use our friction to grow individually and closer. Third is priority. We make each other the most important other person in our lives. And the fourth pillar is purpose. Is we use our love to make the world a better place.
That's great.
Yeah.
How and I would imagine that the Soulful Marriage and this project for you of writing this book, of putting everything out for everybody is kind of that last pillar for you. Am I right?
It is. It absolutely is. My husband and I, again, from studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, we studied many different spiritualities. We were born Jewish and still, connect with being Jewish, but we were always exploring lots of different spiritualities. And then we found Kabbalah, and it's just really like practical, logical, and spiritual, deep, wisdom. And we were learning how important it is to share, how we really came to give. And that's where true fulfillment is. And so we became more givers in the relationship. We also then started looking for ways that we can give and support each other in giving to the world. And then, with time, maybe it was about 10 years ago, I remember having a conversation over dinner that it was like, why don't we use our relationship to help other couples? And so I'm the therapist, I'm the writer. And so it became clear that I was writing it, but it's really on some level our book, the energy of us is in the book all the way through. I say he's the spine of the book. But it's an example of, and it's not easy. Like, being purpose driven takes effort, but it's so much more fulfilling, and it's again counterintuitive. To be happy, we have to also sometimes go against what we feel like doing. And once you cross over and you start getting involved in putting in the effort, then it starts to sing. And so it's helped me individually to have this. When you asked me at the beginning, what's like next level, I'm always looking for like, what else can I do? How else can I share? Who else can I reach? And so this one stretched me, like we're here to kind of stretch our vessels, and this one's still stretching me. But the trickle effect, the relationship is, really, and I wrote about it in the book, like what I would describe as like a generosity of spirit, is that it becomes contagious, that, and it's not just about writing a book together, but any way that you can be keeping in your mind, I wonder how with our time we have together today, especially being empty nesters, but at any time, with whatever time you do have, I wonder how we might be able to bring a meal to someone, or how we might be able to get involved in an organization or doing something that we'll never see directly the benefit from, but we know that it's doing something that's going to add value to someone's life, and kind of almost tithing really of your time and all of your resources.
Yeah.
And so then it's like we tag team, and like sometimes he sends something over to me, or I'll send something over to him. You might want this, think it'd be good to talk with this person, or and then you see that side of your partner giving, and then it's in fact, research has shown that is attractive. That makes you more drawn to a person when they're altruistic and they're generous. So purpose is the best kept secret, is the least spoken about. Never do people come into my, counseling office saying as a couple they're missing purpose. I have individuals feel like they come in missing purpose, but it's really not something that people are aware of, that it really can help take your relationship to a whole new level, to have something bigger than yourself, because it's not just about the two of you. You're tapping into to God. You're tapping into God. Is what you're doing, really.
If you like clips like this, I have a similar clip here. And if you want to watch the full video, click here.